Greetings, and my goodness, I seem to be having graphic issues. But worry not; those will be fixed presently. Welcome, one and all, to the strangeness that is Invisible Sun. Here on Channel Other Doc, I am Jim. I use he/him pronouns. I am your friendly Lacuna GM, and this is our ongoing Invisible Sun campaign. As you may note, today we have the cast is a little bit different because we've finally gotten around to starting to incorporate those guests as we go here. There are many guests upcoming, and this is one of them. Let us go around and say hello to everybody. Say who you are and who you're playing. We'll start as always with Djinnaya. Hello.
Hello. My name is Djinnaya, and I use she/her pronouns, and I will be playing Shah Gamelon, who is an established gallant of the Order of Makers who cages adversaries. And Shah Gamelon also uses she/her pronouns.
Excellent. And Wilde. Hello.
Yes, hello, I'm Wilde Engineer, he/they pronouns, and I am playing Shantano, an itinerant empath of the Order of Apostate who splinters into fragments. They use they/them pronouns.
Good. And Anino, hello.
Hey everybody, my name is Anino. I play Mac the Husk, the itinerant enthusiastic of the Order of the Goetica, who provides a vessel for spirits.
Awesome. And newcomer to this game, not the channel, but this game, Ozzy, hello.
Hello, I'm Ozzy. I use he/him pronouns, and I will be playing Balthasar von Rabenstein, a bizarre gallant of the Order of Makers who walks with a secret companion. And their pronouns are they/them.
Excellent. Good. Okay. So just as a quick little thing, as a reminder here, as we go, this campaign, as you saw at the opening, we're making use of the directed campaign, but most of this game happens spontaneously. There's a lot of making it up as we go along in this game, as will become painfully evident shortly. But
Rude.
That's mostly about me, really. But like we do with most games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or we can make an X symbol, and we can back up and do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat and we'll fade to black on it, or we'll put it behind a veil, so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going anyway, we can put an O in the chat to let folks know that we're okay and that we're good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving to a difficult topic, or we say or we do something and then think maybe that might have been a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that again with an X, an N, or an O to let us know if we're still doing okay. So the last time on this in this very strange game that we play, there was they went to the school to try to pick up some information. They did that. As this school kind of molds itself to what you need, but it also requires that you mold yourself to to play along that you're at school. And there were rules to follow, many rules. Initially, they found a couple of kids that were there at the school in the depths of a sandbox. They went down and they were about to slay each other with sledgehammers. They were doing battle during recess with sledgehammers. They got the sledgehammers away from them, brought them back topside out of the sandbox. It was a very big sandbox. And finally recess ended, so they went back inside the school using the sledgehammer. There were no doors, so they had to actually do that. Went in, sat at the desks, and proceeded to gather knowledge. Shantano had the idea to sit behind the teacher's desk, and so was given access to a mysterious thing known only as the curriculum. It's it's not entirely a physical thing. It's kind of a metaphysical thing that looks like a Mobius strip, and provides potential knowledge about virtually any subject. So, once Shantano set the curriculum, the students there present then were able to reach into their desks and pull out the appropriate books, which they did. We'll be slowly trying to remember what books those were as we progress and try to figure this out. But of course, then the bell rang and they had to go. They dashed out, and the two children went back over to along the path, and they saw Karen at the end of the path, who was basically going to walk the children back home. And that's basically what happened. I can't think of anything that's anything else significant that went on during that time. Well, I think, who knows what's significant, but I can't think of anything else that to describe in one way or another, unless anyone else has anything.
We ate cake.
Which
is important because we spent an entire episode getting that cake.
You did.
So it's very important to know that we did culminate and eat the cake.
You actually managed to eat the cake. There was an in-class party because, again, the professor declared that cake eating was, that there was going to be an in-class cake party. You had cake.
Mm-hmm. And at the very last moment, Shaw saw Karen, but Karen did not see Shaw.
That is correct. So you were able to escape from the wrath of Karen if you so desired.
Was she angry at us for something? Or
no, but it's Karen.
We just wanted to avoid drama. Got it.
I mean, I don't know. If you want, you can talk to her. It's up to you. I kind of wanted to know where you were going to go and what you were going to do after that happened, so that we can position everyone and bring in our friend Balthazar. So what did you want to do after the incident at the school?
Well, we still had the thing that we were going to try out at Shaw's place.
Yeah, I wanted to go
turn around and say, "What thing are you trying out at my place?"
It was
this
in
working
book.
this working that Shantano found. It required the use of a house, and closest we can come up with was the mine. So figured it would be safe.
You should pick a house that's more house-like to fill the requirement of a house. My house is not a house. My house is a mine.
Well, it is a dwelling, and you do indeed call it home. We can't obviously use a Vor's house because that's just a house of cards. And Shantano and I are both.
At least it's a house of cards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Shantano and I are pretty much homeless, and I find
that's not true. The world is my home.
So what is this going to do to my mine?
There might be a slight chance of spidering. But it's okay because we know how to deal with spidering right now.
Do you? You know how to deal with spidering. Have you perhaps let the rest of Saturn know that you have handled spidering?
Well, I thought it was pretty obvious. I mean, we did a pretty good job wrecking all that furniture, didn't we, Shantano?
I mean, we mostly just left them outside the house.
Well, that's true, I guess.
Okay.
And then the house did actually grow legs and spidered its way back into the ocean, too. So
okay. All right. Now look. And she's like, her hands are just like in fists. She goes, I am glad that we are friends, and I want to be helpful. But is it not possible that we could just use one of the other houses in the cul-de-sac?
I mean, we could, but I'm not sure how Karen would take to that.
Are you saying that Karen's feelings are more important than mine?
No. And aside to Shantanu, he just nods.
I mean, if she cages the feelings, it might not matter.
I mean, if there's anyone who could bottle up their feelings, it's Shaw. She cages like everything.
You're about to find that out very, very intimately, Mac.
Well, I mean,
We could just go to the library. I do have a book I want to check out.
yeah, maybe we should do that. We can table this working later.
I mean, what's the closest library?
Oh, I don't know.
No.
Okay, hang on. Here we go. Library, right. Yes. Library.
I mean, I suppose we could use Aroshka's place, but I think it gets very chatty in there.
I think there are empty houses in the cul-de-sac. Karen only lives in one of those houses. The rest of them are just there to make her feel, I don't know, comfortable?
Do we have to deal with an HOA?
I don't know.
Well, there's the Jenga building. What are the odds of these floating blocks with Spider? They're floating and move and shift.
Maybe
Ooh.
one of you should get a home so you can ruin your own home.
Maybe we can make flying spiderlings.
I mean, that would be awesome.
I mean,
But
purchasing a home in this economy, I gotta say, we'd be buying high.
You have a few options, by the way. If there are libraries for libraries in Saturnine, there are like 4 different libraries, 5 different libraries.
Wow.
That you can go to. Actually, the one that's in Fartown is there are a few probably even there. Let's see, the Chained Library. Yeah, there are a few different places that have a few different libraries. Just sort of depends on what you're looking for.
Are any of them particularly apostate friendly?
That is the question. Let's see. So they kind of are geared toward specific things. I mean, there are a couple of different orders. You know, the Spearhead of the Unknowable and the Order of Honed Thought each maintain their own libraries. You've got the Goetic Hall of Records, which is kind of a different thing entirely. Grin's Grammary. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It is a chained library where it mostly focuses on magic. So it just depends on what you are looking for. If you're looking for books that are more like sort of textbooks, histories, that kind of thing. You might find them there, or you might find, or you could also find in one of the other libraries around, of which there are probably a few if you're looking for something more general. There's probably one up in Silver Hill. It's probably the closest where there would be one. Just that's doesn't
Right.
specify.
Because I needed to order a book about, was it Collapsing the Golden Sun?
That one actually you might be able to also find in Ingrin's Greymare. But yeah, you can go if you want to go up to just hop up the road to the public library up in Silver Hill. You can see if you can order that book. Up to you. Or if you'd prefer, you can go to a house and try to turn it into a spider. That's up to you folks. Whatever you want to do.
Well, I mean, the library's not too far off from here. We can figure out where to do the ritual along the way.
Oh, so it's not settled that we're just going to go to do it at the mine?
It is, in fact, not. And I think,
Okay.
like, as she says it, you hear, like, the chain around the cage on her waist just, like, jingle in this kind of, like, vibration.
Oh, good. So there's room for debate.
I mean, I suppose we could try to do that at the homeowners association or at the cul-de-sac, but I mean, which of those houses would we most likely be able to get the working off before Karen interrupts it? I bet she has a neighborhood watch.
Oh, I could distract her. I do have to meet with her. There's some neighborhood demonstration that I need to check in about.
You don't sound very enthusiastic about that.
I'm not very good at being a part of my cul-de-sac. I'm more of a corner person.
Ah, sharp and edgy.
But I would in fact be totally willing to distract Karen rather than you perhaps spidering my mine, which is not a house.
I suppose you make a fair point.
Do you know what your presentation is going to be?
I don't even know what it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
And I suppose my not understanding it is going to make Karen very upset, which means I can probably keep her distracted explaining to me what this neighborhood muckety-muck is for quite some time.
If possible, we could try and use the presentation to convince the cul-de-sac to give us a house to perform the ritual.
That's an interesting idea.
Do we really want to live on that cul-de-sac, though? I mean, I'm quite comfortable just crashing at the mine, personally. So
I'm sure once the
I don't
house
really
walks into the sea, we won't have to live there anymore.
I mean, if it even gets that far. I mean, for all we know, the spiderling might just decide to... the house might spider and then just decide to crawl down the mine.
It's a risk worth taking.
Yeah. I mean, imagine the headlines on something like that.
Well, what are we doing? Shantanu, do you want to go to the library and check out your book, or do you want to go, or do we want to go talk to Karen?
There's the save the least pleasant one for last. How about that?
Yeah, let's go to the library first.
Okay.
Besides, I think that we might need a Roshka for this dealing with the spidering aftermath because, she is really quite diplomatic with the bed frames and the.
She's lucky she didn't become some sort of carrier for the spidering. My goodness.
Where did you go to have this conversation, by the way? To kind of regroup?
I was assuming that we were just walking on the way to the
walking around
library.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me now briefly. I'm going to go over to Ozzy. I want to ask a few questions. So, Balthazar, you, from what I understand, you have a desire to build something.
Yes.
What is it you are trying to build?
The idea hasn't quite formed yet, but it is definitely going to be something on a large scale. Possibly, an extension of. Balthazar is a woodworker, is a carpenter, a cabinet maker.
Mm-hmm.
And their most valuable and most sought after creations is animated furniture, or furniture that helps around the house, or helps you do things, helps you keep things organized. So there is the sock drawer will always pair up the socks correctly, and no sock will ever be unpaired. You can have a little pet side table that follows you around the house and always has a hot cup of tea on it, or coffee, or whatever you like, or something stronger, and things of that nature. Currently, all these things actually require a house to be put in. And I think the great plan is to build a house from the ground up that has these things as features rather than as add-ons.
Excellent. Okay. This is good. So I will tell you that quite recently, as I'm just sort of going to be sort of seizing hold here, some of your friends at the home goods store were telling you that it seems like there was a bit of a kerfuffle at the bulk store across the street not too long ago. Apparently, and they recently had this commission. There were some folks were making. It wasn't anything too unusual, but folks had brought a little bit under the table some products over from the bulk store to make into artisanal products, as is their wont. This happens on a fairly regular basis. Something that it's not supposed to be openly talked about, but everyone kind of knows that it's going on. And that you'd heard that people were trying to have like sort of things that make sort of to the idea being it was supposed to things that are supposed to be like adult versions of school lunches or something like that. They were doing that. The grandmother who works up front was working on. Apparently she was talking about these bundt cakes she was just making, and I've forgotten her granddaughter's name now apparently, but that's all right.
It was Alexandra, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't Alexandra, but it's all right. We can come back to that if need be. But I think that this idea of trying to sort out how to build this type of thing is probably why you are up at the Silver Hill Public Library right now. You have been sort of looking these things through. You've also recently had kind of you'd heard a little bit of certain things that were going on in the neighborhood. Apparently, the foreman, whose tower is the sort of the Jenga block sort of tower on the eastern side, has stopped moving, and
the foreman has stopped moving.
Yeah, the foreman's tower has stopped moving, and the
tower, right?
Yeah, the foreman, they're not sure where he is. Gilda is starting to get a little concerned. Your fellow maker, she is a second level maker, but so there's a little bit of concern about that, sort of trying to figure that stuff out. But you finally have had a few moments, a little time to yourself that you can go and you can start researching this project of yours. And I think that that'll be the environment in which they find you when they come into the library. So Shaw and Shantano and Mac, you are heading up to the library up in Silver Hill. That is it's not very far. You just head up Imago Street, and you eventually have to go a little bit of a ways, but then sort of on the more the north end of Silver Hill, there's a public library, big sort of brick building. I'm going to draw a card.
Ooh.
Because I must. Let's see. Now, the question is, do I refill this up? Nah, I'm just going to do this. Okay. So, as we transition over, we shall look at the card in question, and the card is the Conspirator, which we've been getting a lot of. The Conspirator has been coming up a lot lately. Something is happening. Just as a reminder, it's a secrets card. It is the Defender of Secrets. Its meanings are upheaval, hidden agendas, and gossip. So, I think that there's been a lot of sort of low talk in the library of late. Normally they like people to stay fairly quiet anyway, but it's been very... There's a certain tension that seems to be present, that it's that's hard to it's really hard to say. It's kind of like there's this feeling in the air that it's like it could snap at any moment. But so Shaw and Shantano and Mac, the three of you are going to go into the library, and so there is there is a Lacuna behind the circulation desk. So basically, it looks like a human-shaped individual. And behind them you see, and through them you see windswept plains. It's basically a silhouette that you can see windswept plains through. And Lacuna almost sort of glances in your direction, kind of ducks down behind the the circulation desk as you come in.
I've never seen librarians be so skittish before.
That is very strange. We're kind of on their home court.
Yeah, normally they're asking me to be quiet.
Shaw, I'm going to say that you will notice Balthazar sitting at sort of a table that's kind of centrally probably has many books at this point.
Various books, notes, a large drawing. Balthazar is making notes on, and also has a ruler and the triangles and a retractor and all these things. And if you look a bit closer, the dimensions are odd because things go sideways in 3 dimensions that shouldn't really work on paper, but they do.
I'll look over, and if they look up from their books at all, I'll wave. I should probably go say hello. Do you need help talking to the librarian?
Sorry?
I turned
what is with the librarian?
Oh, I'm sorry, Balthazar. I thought you were a ways away.
I was. I just heard something about the librarian.
The librarian has been quite skittish. It's lovely to see you.
Yes. Good to see you again, Jar. I'm deep into this house here. So I'm a bit slightly confused as to what's going on.
With the house or with the library?
No. What you mentioned about the librarian?
Well, the librarian ducked behind the counter as we came in the door. It seems very strange for a librarian. I mean, even here.
Are you scary? Are you late with your books?
Never. And then I just turn and look at Shotno like super accusingly, like, did you not turn in a book?
Oh, I mean, I always turn in a book into a library.
Then they shouldn't be upset. What do I see? To give a description of Balthazar. Balthazar is his feet. The features look like they're hewn out of wood, so they're not nicely rounded, but quite angular. And you see various markings. Their hair and beard are, those curly wood shavings. And their mustache is one long curled wood shaving. And they're wearing quite plain clothes with a leather apron over the top. And that has many, many loops, which are currently empty, except for one, which has it looks just like a handle. There's no head or other functioning aspect to it. It's just a rounded dowel of wood, maybe this long, easy to hold in one hand, and that is in one of the loops on their apron.
So you would recognize Shaw. She's a very tall woman dressed all in metal with a big collar and a mask that's probably not closed over her face right now. And she's got sort of a slight metallic sheen to her skin. And she would introduce you to Shotno and Mac the Husk.
Yeah.
So Mac is actually peering over the librarian's desk, looking for the Lacuna. Just like, hey, everything all right down there?
Lacuna is looking very much like trying to look like just part of the landscape, except of course they look absolutely nothing like the landscape, so they're easy to pick out. They're kind of just sort of hiding down, down looking through, just sort of down in a corner. And I'll come back to that in a second. Wilde, go ahead and describe again for us what Shantano looks like.
Yes, so Shantano, I don't know, about average height. They have like bluish tinted skin, but look kind of odd, almost glassy, and when you look at them, you could swear that every now and then you see new cracks starting to form. Every now and then you might hear a low grating sound of like rough glass over rough glass as his body kind of starts to shift. He's wearing clothes of a traveler, just like pants and a jacket, an okay shirt, very low maintenance kind of wear. He's the type who would stare at you intently for just a little too long and then just turn around and do something else.
A pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
And Baldassar hands them a card, clearly made of wood as well, a very thin sheet of wood, and the name and the address of the workshop is sort of burnt into it.
You folks have actually, some of you might have, if you've been around. The workshop is located sort of on the south end of the map, sort of equidistant from some of these different stores that are down, sort of the pawn shop, the inanimate pet store, and the home goods store. I think probably Shaw is come to think of it now, because both Mac and Shantano are kind of move around a lot, so you probably haven't had any need to buy furniture. So it's possible you may have seen the workshop. The house is the house also your workshop? It looks like a giant planing device, right?
It is a plane, yes. The woodworking tool, and the workshop is on the ground floor, and assuming the living spaces on the top floor.
Yeah. So there's a chance you might have.
Or whatever the floors are at the given point of time.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, there's a chance you folks may have seen that house like from a distance or whatever, but
It's quite distinct.
Yeah.
It's definitely not house shaped.
Yeah. But you probably would not have had any cause to previously necessarily interact much, because again, no need for furniture when you don't live in a house.
Well, you could have a travel bed that's always with you.
I know the last bed that these folks encountered tried to kill them, but it's hard to say. Anyway.
That it did. Is there a bell on the counter?
There is a bell on the counter.
Okay. So Shantano would be like, nice to meet you, Balthazar, but I must summon the librarian real quickly. I shall be back.
Of course.
And walks over and looking at the Lacuna it's hiding, just rings the bell.
Okay, so Mac, you've been looking at this Lacuna, and it's been just sort of like when the bell rings, it just sort of is like, and it picks up this little book that it seemed to have been looking at, possibly or probably just now is pretending to have been looking at, and just sort of nervously looks around, and sort of slowly just sort of looks up and is like immediately kind of like, and sort of vaults upward, and is once again standing up and is at the counter. Yes, ma'am. Yes, may I help you? Kind people.
Yes, I was looking to see if it would be possible for you to find this book for me. And I'll hand them the number for the ruining the Golden Road, or the Golden Sun book, collapsing the Golden Sun.
Well, I can always try to find it's something. Probably it shouldn't be too big a deal, just as long as it's nothing that's too stressful. Oh my God! Sort of looks at the card. What do you want with that one? That book. That's a very dangerous book. Why do you want that book?
For its secrets. I mean, it could help me save the Golden Sun. Or not. I'm not sure which.
And it's sort of gliding backwards almost. It's like I don't know if this is a good idea. It's not a terribly good idea. Why do you Golden Sun?
I mean, whether I read it or not, it's going to happen, I guess, so.
That's terrifying. How do I know if I go and I get this book for you, or if we can see if we have the book? How do I know you're not going to collapse the sun? It's very dangerous.
Well, I mean, it is a part of the curriculum.
You're looking. You're here for the curriculum?
No, I mean, like...
Do you work for the curriculum?
Well,
yes, this is Professor Shantano.
You have to tell me if you're working for the curriculum. It's the law.
I saw the curriculum.
Yeah, this is Professor Shantano. He teaches at the school on the cul-de-sac.
I feel as though a roll needs to happen now.
Why don't we just draw a card?
We could draw a card. You want to try to but this is more an action directly where you're trying to convince this this very strange and nervous Lacuna that the world is not going to end if they look for this book for you. Or rather, even more specifically, that you apparently they think the curriculum has clout of some kind, so you're just sort of convincing them that this you're in fact acting on behalf of the curriculum. So this is going to be a difficulty of 3. This is going to be the challenge of 3. What would you like to levy at it?
I have nothing. I can't even make an argument for game theory to work in this case.
I mean, you could throw some sortilege at it, right?
Yeah.
You could. You can throw sortilege at it if you want to turn it magical and get at least get another die.
I mean, I'll throw in an interaction. That's fine.
I mean, I could. Is Mac making this roll, or?
I think Mac's making the roll.
Okay.
Sean, if you want to help, then he can use you as an asset on this roll.
I mean,
So
I don't know.
If you throw in, so, yeah.
I don't know if my skill of understanding people's motives would help.
It might actually, because it sort of helps you to understand kind of what it is that's going on with this particular Lacuna. So yeah, you can basically the fact that you have that'll help apply toward what he has. How many levels in that skill do you have?
Just one.
Okay, so yeah, you're down to a 1 or better basically at this point. If you're Mac, if you're spending the interaction.
Yeah, I'll spend 1 interaction.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you got it. And so Lacuna is like, okay, all right, okay. If it's part of the curriculum, I'll get it for you, but I'll see if it's here. I'll see if it's here. We may have to order it, possibly. That just sounds terribly dangerous. I don't want anything else to blow up. Okay. All right.
Anything else to blow up? Did something else blow up earlier?
I didn't say anything. That was someone else. I'm sorry. I'm going to look for your book now. And it turns.
I'm usually not one to worry about things, but that is discomforting.
I would agree. But Balthazar, was there perhaps an explosion earlier here before we got here?
Yeah, you don't remember hearing an explosion. Yeah, Balthazar, you did not hear an explosion of any kind when you were here, or see an explosion. So you're not sure. There is something they've been tense about since you've been in here, but you're not sure what it is.
I think Balthazar wouldn't have noticed anyway. They are now, once they are in the project, it is very difficult to get them, notice anything. Now they would sometimes, spend days on end without sleep, or maybe even food and drink, if their furniture wouldn't feed them. So very sort of one track mind once they are in deep into a project.
Yeah.
This is, I guess, Chantal might be it. Oh, are you researching how to blow a couple of things up, Balthazar?
No. On the contrary, my plan is to contain things so they don't blow up, or run away, or escape in another fashion.
So the opposite, so that it implodes instead?
No. It should not. There shouldn't be any violent reaction whatsoever. I'm working without giving away any secrets. I'm working on the perfect house. That will do most of the things that need to be done around the house for you.
And how can I use it if I don't have a house, per se?
Once this project is actually finished, I am sure this house or plans for, if you have the means and skills to make your own, will be available on the market.
Do you have a working prototype?
Not yet. I'm in the beginning. You see here, this is all the planning stages.
Oh. Because, I think there's something that we can certainly help you test out if you did have a prototype.
I will note down your names because obviously I will need a test run before I will be able to sell it. And
Sure.
If you are willing, that would be an idea to have live in it for a week and make sure everything works. The house serves you as you desire, And the plan is that the house will adapt to its owner. And so various rooms and facilities are not fixed, but adaptable.
Interesting.
How resistant is to spidering?
That can certainly be included.
Can you make it possible to spider more often?
Why would you possibly want that, No.
Just in case somebody would want it. I mean, people like choice, right?
I mean, they like good choices. Like, would you like cake or pie?
I mean, non-spidering could be the opt-out option.
I suppose.
This is not something I've given thought to, but Butterset takes out a notebook and makes some scribblings.
Yeah. It actually is a fascinating kind of thing, the idea of trying to, because spidering is a problem, is a thing that can happen in houses, so that's has to do with, depends on the sort of level of magic that they're using and if it can sort of go awry. No one has yet figured out why spidering happens, but it does kind of occur to probably to Shah and to and possibly to Balthazar that it's any the idea of sort of trying to figure out and control whether spidering is going to happen off a spell or not to a house in particular is something that it's kind of, it's like approaching the problem from the other end, but it's an interesting idea to look at it that way. Doing something to actually protect the house from spidering before doing the thing instead of doing it at the spell level. I'm also going to draw a card now. Oh dear. Okay. Let's see. So that I can determine what it is we have happening. Okay. Good. Well, that's excellent. That's somehow precisely the card that I was looking for. And yet also
I don't believe you.
I don't believe me either, but the card is the unwelcome child. It's, I think we've had it once before. It's the apprentice of notions. Its meanings are bad luck, imbalance, things undesired, outcasts, duplicitousness. Yes. Okay. Okay. So you all sort of hear this the sound. I'm going to try to approximate it. It's like coming from behind some shelves. It's the sound that's kind of like
Does this sound like moving furniture? So like you pushing a table or a shelf?
it sounds kind of like an explosion in reverse.
Oh.
Oh no.
And it's coming from where?
It's coming from behind a few shelves. There are some. This isn't a huge library, but there are some. There's some shelves sort of toward the back, kind of in the direction the Lacuna went.
Are they freestanding or against the wall?
There are some against the back wall, and there are freestanding shelves and sort of perpendicular to them.
And the noise starts and then stops. It doesn't continue going.
Yeah, it's like just it sort of started with the loud bit and then shrank into nothing.
Odd.
Did you hear that?
I did. I wonder what it was. And I'm gonna start walking towards these shelves to look behind them.
Now, there is an important consideration here, and that is that in order to do that, you will have to actually open the little door, little sort of swinging little half door, and go behind the counter.
Oh.
If you want to do that.
Oh, I would never.
Breaking the rules.
Yes. I will just stand on my tiptoes and look and see what I could possibly see.
You see some what look like pages drifting out from behind these stacks and sort of drifting to the ground.
Come, Shaw, we need to see this. And Balthasar holds open the little gate for Shaw.
Oh, but we're not supposed to go back there.
It could be dangerous, and the librarian is clearly not up to the task, so let's have a look.
It's true. We should go check and make sure that everybody's okay, and then she will immediately go through the door.
Oh, that didn't take much convincing.
Well, it's an emergency.
That's true.
Or maybe it's something you could cage.
I mean, maybe.
Or punch.
Also,
I don't think we should use a coin, though.
we should have brought those sledgehammers. And I tiptoe towards the bookshelves.
What's wrong
during
with
this time-
coins?
Go ahead.
No, it's just like, what's wrong with coins?
During this time, Balthasar had sort of been playing when he was talking with the pen and the ruler they've been using, and there's and now they put them down on the table and takes out this wooden grip from the loop on the apron, and they start walking towards the back, towards those shelves.
All right. So you head in, you all head in, you head around, and you see that there is a section in these books that are, and you sort of are looking that they're kind of more in the restricted section. You're going into the restricted section. You feel dangerous, and as you come around one of these shelves, you look and you see that there is a book lying, or something like. Well, it's hard to say. You know, there's a shelf. There's one of these shelves. A few books have fallen down, and are on the floor. Some of them open, and then there's this low-level kind of. You're not sure what the sound is. Again, it's sort of like a rushing sound coming from the center of this pile of books.
Can Mac
Balthasar twists the wooden grip in the hands, and it turns into a knife with a long blade.
Okay. Mac, what was it you were wanting to do?
Mac is going to try to scan the number of books in the area really quick to see if there's a common theme to them.
Yeah, you're sort of looking around, and these all seem to be in here. They're it's books on the nature of the suns.
Well, I wonder if the Lacuna got into some trouble trying to get that book for Shantano.
Well, I sure hope not. I need that book.
Well, what number was it? We'll see if it's missing. Is it one of these on the floor? And then I'll start looking at the books on the floor to see if any of them are exploding the golden sun, whatever it was. Ending the universe in the hands of the altruistic Shantano.
Yeah. How to destroy the sun in 12 easy steps. You're digging through these books and sort of looking at them, and it doesn't take too long to come to. It's like as you're moving books off this pile, that rushing sound gets a little louder. And you look down and you see, as you pick up a book, that down on the floor below you, you see this image, again, of the same kinds of windswept plains that you saw when you were looking at the Lacuna. But this is in the shape of a book. It's a hole in reality, the shape of a book.
Do Lacunas turn into books?
I've never tried to turn one into one.
Neither have I. I don't know Lacuna well. I have.
It's possible they do. We should probably ask one.
I tap the hole, or I tap the book that is Golden Fields. Librarian, are you okay?
It's hard to actually touch the book because it's a hole in reality. Your hand passes through, and then it's like it's very warm. But also there's this breeze.
I would like to use my forte ability
Oh yes.
of another point of view.
Okay.
Oh.
What do they see
Well, let me.
when they look at the book or the hole in reality?
All right. So this version, this version of you that no one else can see, steps forward because he's around. They're around. They're around. They kind of will. Just kind of looking up and down. Shake their head. They'll crouch down. They'll look down at the through the book. Just glances back up. It's a book about. Is this a book about destroying a sun?
But it's not quite there. Or not quite here.
You shrug. They look at. It's right in front of us.
It is, but
How How are you doing that?
Mm.
You're just reaching inside the book there.
This is the problem I have, and I thought you might see something else.
You can't. Okay. Do you want me to help you pick it up? Okay. Let's see if we can. All right, try it again. And this time, it seems as though Balthazar is able to pick up the book. Balthazar, what you see is this: your alternate self is kind of holding the sides of it.
I'll take it out of their hands.
It'll be like. So, if you sort of try to do that, it's kind of like it's hard to.
Is there resistance?
Yeah, it's kind of like only while they're holding it. It seems.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can touch it, which I wasn't able before.
Yeah. You feel like you can actually reach it and turn the pages.
Can we hold onto it at the same time?
Yeah.
Then step back with me at the same time.
Okay.
1, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Now, can you visually explain to me what we were just doing? Because I'm not sure what the effect is intended to be.
So I imagine that. So there is this book that's sort of hovering in mid-air.
It is not hovering in midair. That is the thing.
Oh, right.
It looks to everyone else as though you're picking the book up by yourself.
Right.
But.
No. Where was the book before I started?
It was on the floor.
It was on the floor, right? Okay. But it's not quite there.
No,
right. Okay. So it looks like or rather, Balthasar bends down. And picks up one side of the book with their hands. And it lifts up as if somebody else is holding the other hand.
The funny thing about it is that when you do this, it's going to look plausibly as though you're actually doing it by yourself.
Yes.
So it's not going to look as though it's supported by unseen hands.
Right.
It's going to look as though you've got the book.
In that case, it looks like Balthasar picks up the book, while in fact there's someone else holding on to it as well.
Yeah.
This is not obvious.
Yeah. Now they're not sure how you're able to pick up the book, but that's the thing is that it's this being to all appearances does not exist.
So does it come away from this hole in reality?
The book?
Yes.
No, you're holding a hole in reality.
The hole.
You can it still looks like a hole in reality, but he's kind of helping you touch it. They're kind of helping you touch it.
Can I move it?
Yeah, if you kind of if you try to, you can like turn the pages.
No, as I'm holding on to it, can I step back?
Do you want to take it out of their grasp?
Yes.
Okay, if you do that, it will then... Well, let's see, gravity. This is an excellent question. got the book open. So yeah, I need to figure out this intellectual half Nelson real quick. I think that it's going to if you try to pull back, as though you're holding on to it, take it out of their grasp, it's going to fall down.
Right. So I can only touch it while they are touching it as well.
Although the interesting thing about it, I'm trying to figure out if it'll fall down or if it'll actually continue to hover there, because you've kind of moved where it is, and it's only going to have physical presence to them. So, yeah, I think actually, if I may amend this, instead of falling down, if you pull away from it, your hands slip through, and it's now hovering there in midair where you pulled the book away.
So at the point where I had to let go, or where it slipped my
where
grasp.
they had to let go, where
Yeah.
you pulled it out of their hands.
Now this is very odd. So it definitely moved from the floor to
Yeah. So now at like chest
this
height.
height.
Yeah.
Yeah, chest height. It's still not there, but I was able to move it.
Yeah.
Can I walk around it?
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's just the book itself. Ah!
Can I try a spell?
Sure. What would you like to do?
Please.
I don't know exactly what the spell does, but it seems appropriate. It's called Lore of the Book.
Oh.
Really? How strangely appropriate.
Right?
Where is this spell found? May I ask?
Let's see. It's a level 2 spell. Hey, Kitty. Okay. Whoops, I just passed it up.
Good,
Okay. It says, I infuse myself with knowledge and gain 2 bene to my intellect pool. I don't know if that helps me at all here, no, or not.
Well, let me take a look here. This is in the spell deck?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can get it to actually function here. There it is. We didn't specify. Now, mechanically, all it does is it adds 2 bene to your intellect pool, but we haven't really specified where the lore comes from. So I think that would work. So you're infusing yourself with knowledge. This is a level 2 spell. So yeah, this is going to be a challenge of 2. I think, if I'm remembering how to do this correctly. Wait, there are rules to this game.
I mean, some.
There are a few. Yeah. Yes, you can try casting that spell and seeing what happens. In an effort to get the lore from this specific book, if that's what you're looking to do. Are you trying to do a thing where you become more engaged with this specific book, or is there a thing where you just want the knowledge from it? Or?
I'm just trying to see if I can use this to figure out what's actually going on.
Gotcha.
You know,
Sure.
like what's happening to this book.
Absolutely. Go ahead then, and I'm just going to have you make a roll. You can roll 2 dice at difficulty is 2. Challenge rating is 2, and we'll do it that way. One day, folks, those of you who may be watching and growing enraged, one day I will actually know the rules. This is as close as we're getting right now. And if you want,
So 2d10 or 1d10?
I'm going to say, well, let's see. It doesn't actually say it gives you a +1 die. Is there anything you want to add to this, or I was thinking it was going to give you a die, but then I remembered it specifies on the card if it does that or not. Is there anything else you want to add to this? I think it's just going to be 1 die.
Okay, would my being trained in 1 level of magical lore, would that help me at all?
I think so.
Okay.
Just need 1 or better. Okay, an 8 is certainly better than a 1. So, what does this look like when you cast the spell?
I think you see like a faint glow start to emanate from Shantano's cracks, and just it seems like the top of his head starts to rearrange itself.
Ooh. Yeah. So you sort of get this. Yeah, you can feel kind of you can see kind of, if folks who are looking closely can see the windswept plains appearing briefly in the cracks. So here's the thing. You have come to realize, okay. Yes, you think you've got an idea of what's going on here. So you know how if you keep dynamite or plastic explosives or things like that sort of sit, if you put them together like in a shed over a long period of time and they're like packed together, it's not good. It gets sweaty and it becomes a lot easier for the thing to explode.
Right, it becomes unstable.
This is kind of like that when we're dealing with books about the nature of reality. This is a thing that is known to happen sometimes. When you pack these books together and they're left unread for a long enough period of time, the knowledge becomes a little unstable as it sort of wants to sit there. It begins sort of metaphorically sweating. And what you get is, it's actually more of an implosion than an explosion. As the weight of this knowledge suddenly being disturbed causes a reaction that essentially causes, instead of, if your intention is to read the book reads you. And that is what has happened here. It appears as though the book has absorbed the Lacuna. And the book has now become a gateway to the location the Lacuna was a gateway to.
Seems like they weren't being very diligent at the library. These books haven't been read enough.
Oh. Seems strange. Maybe they shouldn't, keep doors to keep you out?
Yeah. Well, they also were pretty hesitant to lend me the book. That might also be a problem.
Well, I mean, if this problem stemmed from people not reading the book enough, then I guess maybe everyone should be reading Destroying the Golden Sun.
Yes, if everyone destroys the Golden Sun, then no one destroys the Golden Sun.
I don't. Oh,
Hmm?
I'm not sure the math works out right on that, but is it your book? Can you read the things that you needed to read to make sure that Her Eminence is okay?
So the Lacuna turned into the book I was trying to get?
The book absorbed the Lacuna, and so it, the. How does one explain this? The Lacuna's now kind of been turned inside out. You think it's in there somewhere. It's somewhere in the book, and it's just a question of getting it back out again.
Is there a new chapter in the book?
Wait, is the Lacuna trapped in the book? Does this get explained out loud?
Yeah, I mean, when books aren't read enough, the books read us, and I guess this is what happens.
Oh, well, goodness, we should figure out a way to let him back out somehow.
But the book is transparent. We can't actually touch the book, right?
Most of you cannot.
Right.
Well, sir, how come you can touch the book?
I had help.
Oh.
Well, if we stay the night, I may be able to do something.
Well, why do we have to stay the night here to do this at?
To study. That's what you do with books.
Can we stay the night in the library?
I don't think there's anyone to tell us we can't anymore.
This is true.
I think we should stay the night in the library.
I mean, can't get much worse than it is now.
I mean, it's not bad. It's wonderful. It's full of books. And they're all in lines. They're in order by number.
I have
And we still have leftover cake and juice boxes.
Indeed. We could have a library slumber party.
Well, I see no problems with this plan.
Balthazar, would you like to have a library slumber party with us?
Yes. Well, maybe not a slumber party, but I will happily stay here tonight.
Study party.
Yes.
Study slumber party. Slumber party.
Yeah.
All-nighter party? I mean,
Oh, that sounds like a lot, but we could try.
I suppose I should do some studying too. I have that invocation that I need to work on.
Is this a generic public library, or is this more specific?
This is a this is a more generic public library. You are in the forbidden books section, but there is there are other, you have the standard sort of thing that one would find in most public libraries elsewhere.
So it's not attached to a university or anything like that?
No, it is not. It is not absolutely generic. Karen has been sort of pushing to get an actual generic public library. in your neighborhood, but that hasn't happened yet.
Oh, man. The possibilities are limitless here. Excuse me for a moment. Go about your thing. I'm gonna do something. So Mac is gonna wander off to a corner that isn't so well traversed, and he's gonna start drawing a summoning circle.
Oh my god. Who are you summoning? Dare I ask?
That is a very good question. We haven't seen this fellow since the development session.
Okay.
He's gonna summon Jaraneth.
For a second, I thought it was our fellow furniture basher.
Wait a minute. Jaraneth.
Use the spirit of knowledge from the maze.
Yeah. Okay.
He's probably free right now. The fair is gone.
Yeah, well, yeah, the it's nighttime and everything, so. Oh boy. Okay. I can't remember what
What's the
level I
worst thing
said.
that could happen?
Okay, that's the second time you said that, so I'm gonna have to draw a card now.
Oh, so that's what triggers a card draw now?
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen?
I mean,
We don't know all the rules, but we know that if anybody says what's the worst could happen, that you are required to draw a card.
yeah, I mean it's the law. Let's see what we drew. So, oh dear. Okay, yes, of course I drew this. I have drawn the Raven. This is the companion of secrets. And as a reminder, its meanings are jealousy, sight, and trickery. The Raven sees everything and tells nothing. Yeah. It apparently wants what you have, according to quite a lot of branding going on. So yeah. So you're going to summon Jaraneth. I have a feeling Jaraneth was something like at least a level 4, weren't they? Or I'm trying to remember.
I hope not. I can only summon level 3, I think.
I have a feeling Jaraneth was at least a level 3. Let's see. So you're starting to do that. You're just going somewhere in the stacks and drawing a summoning circle and starting to work that process out. That's what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay. While Mac is doing that, what's everyone else doing, real quick?
I think I've already started making a little nest of books and things. That's going to be like my little study spot for our STEMmer party. And I'm grabbing just neat looking books because aesthetic matters.
Of course. What is Shantano doing?
Right, Shantano is going to be like, well, time for me to get studying. Good night, all. He's going to go to sleep.
Of course.
Because I'm using a spell for that. I have Dream Study.
Ooh.
Yeah. I picked a character has a lot of useless spells, but somehow I'm in the perfect location.
Isn't that weird? How does that happen?
I don't know. That's like a Roshka at the spidering event.
Somehow we bring the one character who has the ability Talk to inanimate objects at a time when inanimate objects are attacking. Yeah. Okay, yeah, okay. You're Doctor Stranging it here. You're going to lie down, and then your spirit form will read. This is delightful. Balthasar, what are you doing while this is going on?
Balthasar is abandoning his house project for the time being, and will try and devise a box, essentially, to put the book in.
Ah, excellent. Okay.
So surround the book with a box and then see if it can be moved.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's going to occur to you that probably, as long as you have help from your alternate self, then you should be able to pull it off. That is a good idea. So you set to work doing that. I'm not going to necessarily take us through the entirety of the Matrix right now, of the Maker's Matrix, but it's an achievable thing, I think, since you've kind of figured out what the essential problem is. So you're working on that. So what we're going to say happens in a moment. As you're kind of putting these things together, your other self is kind of sort of helping grab things, which it looks to everyone else like you're grabbing those things.
And there might be tables that are, misappropriate for the purpose.
Yeah, pretty much. The moment you start grabbing,
I think one table should be enough.
The moment you start grabbing and dragging one of these tables, anyone else who is in the library at this point hightails it out and just that's pretty much it. There's no one else in the library at this point.
And anyone who's watching the that wooden grip Balthasar is holding can change into pretty much any tool they require at any moment. So once it's a foil, then it's a sword, then it's a hammer.
Yeah.
And various other woodworking tools.
Yeah, totally. And so you're basically transform it. Shaw, you've probably seen him. You've seen them use this tool before.
Yeah, I imagine it's pretty similar to my tool bracer, which allows me to manifest small tools in my hand.
In game terms, it's the crafted object a maker starts with.
Absolutely. So, Mac, you're going to summon this being. Jaraneth. Okay, I got to cast my mind back to what Jaraneth was like. Hopefully, this will get fairly close. So, do you remember what Jaraneth looked like?
I do not. He was, I want to say he was sort of a smoky, crystally kind of being.
It was like kind of almost a reflection type thing. It wasn't corporeal exactly. That came up in the middle. It was in a fountain, right? Or was it a...
was it the fountain? It was the fountain, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So...
Wait, one question. Is this the fountain that Mac and Shantana went to together? Or is that a different fountain?
It's a different fountain. This was the one in the reflection maze.
Oh, there was a maze it was a hedge maze, but they were sort of it was made of metal, I think, something along those lines.
Yeah, it was like something that sort of reflected ideas or whispering words.
One day, I need to go back and watch the previous episodes and catch everything up.
I mean, if it makes it easier, I can just summon a general spirit.
Oh no, that's fine. No, we'll pull a Jareneth here because I think this is interesting. There will be certain details that may give Jareneth some amnesia right now. So this being sort of wells up, and it looks kind of fluid almost as it's appearing in this circle, and it looks up. You.
Well, I said I would call you at some point when I needed your counsel on things.
You did say that, didn't you?
I did.
Is this a library?
It is indeed. Unfortunately, the librarian is no longer available. So I thought I would reach out to you for a little direction as to which books to pull from this forbidden section.
Does it not occur to you that books are forbidden for a reason?
It did, and that's why I'm sort of seeking your counsel here, because, well, your knowledge is far more extensive than mine. Shall we get to the colloquy?
See if we can. No, come back. Here it is. Okay, which can be a conversation and offering of payment or gifts, a threat, a trick. Okay. I don't suppose any of these books are up for grabs, are they?
That's a very good question. But what would you really need with a book?
That is a good question, isn't it?
I suppose I should offer you an explanation as to what kind of knowledge I would be searching for. But so there's a situation with regards to Limerence Street, a street that only a handful of people seem to remember. It's as if it was wiped out from the collective memory of the world. And, well, I think there are a number of strange events going on in Saturnine that are caused by the disappearance of such a thing. And so my associates and I have been struggling to find a way to restore it. And being as that I am but a humble provider of a vessel for spirits, this is a little beyond my scholarly expertise.
It's been removed from existence. From history itself?
I believe so, yes. Because I have not been able to find any sort of reference to it in a map or directory or even in the minds of the people in the neighborhood and across the city.
Well, there are a few different ways you could tackle this. So, you want to look to find out what book to look into be able to figure out what it is that is happening to the street.
If I could find, yes, how the working was done, and at least start there and figure out how to undo it, or at least know the kind of power it takes to undo it, so I could negotiate the appropriate resource to do such a thing.
All right. I see that. Okay, I get the picture. All right. It's tricky working around knowledge that isn't there. But one could see the edges, perhaps. So if I do this, I would like to take one of these books with me. It doesn't
So,
have to be the one you're looking for. It can be another one.
what do you plan to do with this book exactly? I mean, I'm okay if it's just affecting some sort of personal agenda that you have, which will not affect the safety and livelihood of the people within the city, or cause a fabric in the whole of reality, like that thing over there. And he's just going to gesture at the at Balthasar
Sort of
and what
leans
he's
around. Like,
and what he's working on.
I see. Is that it? Never mind. I don't actually know yet what I'm going to do with it, but there is a certain potential that these books in particular have that I would be rather eager to tap and see what can be done with them.
Well, the way I see it here, Jarenet, is that you would be getting far more out of this deal than I would. So before I would even take the fall, I suppose, for you to spirit away one of these books, you would need to owe me an additional favor.
Done.
All right. I don't want to know what book it is that you take, by the way. This is for plausible deniability.
You'll never know it's missing.
Of course not. I don't know what any of these books are.
Very well. If I may step out, then I will point you in a direction. As
Okay.
requested.
So just so we're clear, you're only permitted to leave this circle in order to provide me with the books that I need in order to begin working on unraveling the Limerence Street
Of
issue.
course.
And after you deliver those, you are to take your singular book and leave.
Just so.
And just make sure that the associates in this room are not aware of what you are doing.
Of course. I shall be most discreet.
Yes, that's not creepy at all. And he'll just use his foot to break the circle.
And they crack a wide grin. And it's like, sort of like it melts out of the circle. Its form, its wavering, sort of almost liquid form going. And it surges out of the circle and seems to then, just the moment they're out of the circle, it pours out and immediately just sort of like with lightning speed, it's no longer there. It's like it moves at lightning speed, it's no longer there, and then you see a stack of, there are a couple of books in front of you.
Fantastic. Gotta say, working with spirits is fun. When they're not trying to kill you. Or damn you. I wasn't really talking to you, Jaraneth. And
You said that part out loud. Just out of the blue. Working with spirits is fun.
And so Mac will pick up his books and nonchalantly move back over to where Shaw is studying and set up his own little nook to begin reading.
So over the course of the evening, I'm going to advance things a bit now. Balthasar is able to construct a box that actually will allow. It's a slipcase basically that you can put the book in and actually manipulate it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a foldable slipcase, which actually allows you to hold the book light, and carry it around with you. So you can all now access the book. It still looks like Windswept Plains, but you've now got a hold of it. Shantano, during the course of your sleep, which books are you looking? What sort of books are you looking to read while you're asleep? What sort of studying are you doing whilst asleep?
It was just the one on collapsing the golden sun, and
Okay.
is that the one that the Lacuna's in?
Yes. So, because you're in a dream state, an interesting thing happens. You're going to find yourself on the Windswept Plains. And as you're looking around on these Windswept Plains, you see it's almost the ghosts of words drifting about. And on the horizon, you see what looks like a humanoid figure, just sort of standing there.
Well, I guess I'll walk up to them.
Okay, so you're heading up to them, and you see that it looks like it's about the shape of the Lacuna. Only it's now just, there's blackness. It's, and the edges are very wavy. Like, and there's this constant rushing inward.
So, do they acknowledge me, or?
You get close enough, it's like it turns around now, having heard you.
Oh, you're the one from the library, right?
I was. Am I?
That's an interesting look you've got going. Is that a Lacuna thing?
It should not be.
Huh.
Have you ever been turned inside out?
Yes.
It's like that.
It's not all that unpleasant then.
I had never have been turned inside out.
Oh, if you do it multiple times, it gets easier every time.
Does it?
Oh, yeah.
How do you make it stop?
You just let it happen.
You make it stop by letting it happen?
Yeah.
What if it kills me? Doing all I can to stay here.
What if it doesn't?
I'm afraid.
Yeah. I feel that a lot.
How do you deal with that?
Well, usually there's more to be gained on the other side of fear. I mean, it's easier to stay in the fear and do nothing, but there's no fun in that.
I think I want you to, I think I'm going to want you to make a roll here. Because you are sort of challenging it, sort of trying to get it to encourage it to lean into the unfolding of itself. This is, I think, a challenge of 4, probably.
Ooh.
What would you like to bring in?
I guess I could use understanding motives again for
Yeah,
this.
you can do that, yeah.
How about searching? Like, searching for the right answer.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a landscape full of answers, so that's probably a good way to handle that, yeah. Down to 2.
I think that's all I have that can apply.
All right. Since what you're doing is, well, yeah, you could, if you want, you could spend a sortilege to get a second die, but that's up to you. But you need a 2 or better right now, so your odds are pretty good. So, something's going to happen regardless of what you roll.
Sortilege. And that would be from... Oh, there it is, sortilege.
Yeah, if you want to make this a magical thing that you're doing. Which is kind of almost inherently what's happening right now.
Sure, I'll spend 1 sortilege for this.
Okay. So you got two chances at it now.
Alright, 2 dice.
Yeah. Of course, if the second die rolls a 10, then interesting other things will happen. Called flex, but we'll see how they...
Yeah.
Oh, look. A couple 6s.
Huh.
All right. So, as you're sort of explaining this, it's like, will you help me?
Sure. I'll change with you.
Thank you. And, sort of reaching his hand out, do you take their hand?
I'd take their hand.
Okay. And there's this feeling, this rushing of the landscape toward you. Shah, what were you studying whilst you were after you built your book fort?
After I built my book fort, I think maybe I'm just in a really good kind of socially mood, despite the fact that my friends wanted to ruin my home. I've like gone into this place of like, I'm at a slumber party, right? So I think she's actually just looked for the closest thing she can get to a gardening book, because gardening is her hobby.
Yes.
And is reading about gardening in this very kind of pedestrian way. And maybe has pulled out the viewfinder to start like sketching out new plans
Excellent.
in the viewfinder sketchbook.
So it's as you've been doing this for a little while. It's fairly late at night by this point. Time has passed, and Balthazar has just managed to get this slipcase together, so you can now carry the book. Mac, your business is concluded. So you've got your books that you are kind of starting to look over. When you see that Balthazar has finished you and Shaw both see that Balthazar has finished the slipcase, and you can now handle this book. And I'm just sort of curious to know what you try to do with the book before a thing happens.
Me specifically, or us?
And any of you.
So, I think Mac is actually just going to try to pack up his books and wait and see what everybody else's does, because he already feels like he used up all of his karma for one day. Having summoned Jaraneth to basically do research for him in exchange for something really, really bad. So this seems to be more Shantano's pet project. So maybe actually what he will do is try to wake up Shantano.
Okay, this will be exciting. So, Balthazar, is there anything special you want to try to do with the book that you now that you have it? Now that you have it.
The point was to contain the book and then decide what to do with it.
Yes.
So as long as we can manipulate the book, that's all Balthazar wanted to do.
Okay. All right. So you've got it. You set it up. So
Yeah.
You have the book.
And then we can decide if we should take it out of here. Because it might... I'm not sure if that might, spread to other books.
Well, an interesting thing happens.
Oh.
So, as you're carrying the book over, and so that Shaw is looking at some gardening books to let her see kind of what it is that you've put together here, Mac goes over and tries to wake Shantano, and there is this moment where there's like everyone hears this kind of like there's the sound coming from the book that's this sort of, and the lights go out for a second. Shantano, you're going to jerk awake, grabbing hold of someone's arm, and the arm is suddenly no longer there. And then you were grabbing onto possibly Mac's arm, and then Mac is suddenly no longer there. Because it's midnight. Mac, you're standing in a train station for some reason. You have this terrible urge to wait for a train, but that only lasts for like 5 seconds. As there's this sort of this strange urgency and loss, this big sense of urgency and loss simultaneously, lost potential that is just screaming down at you. Nothing is ever going to get done on time. You realize this doesn't... I'm sorry?
Yeah, no, go on. Sorry.
You realize this is coming from outside of you. This isn't necessarily you, but it's, it's up to you how much you let that affect you. And then the lights come back on. A few seconds later, Mac is standing there. You've popped back into existence. And Shantano is awake, perhaps slightly shifted. And the book is now a book.
Oh, for a moment there, I thought I was back in the gray, in the middle of crunch mode.
Here. You do have to remember that those things aren't real.
Has any for Shaw? Has anything changed for Shaw and Balthasar? Did we see Shantano grab Mac's arm and then Mac disappearing?
No, the lights were out.
Oh, the lights are out. Oh, it's completely pitch black dark.
It was pitch black and then came back.
That's fair.
And although Balthasar, your other self sort of whispers, "That's funny. I had the urge for a moment to catch a train."
A train?
Yeah, there's a train station over in. I was thinking it's not too far from here. It's where the line runs, right?
Where to? Where
Well,
did you want to go?
The main line through Saturnine, I thought. And Balthasar, it occurs to you that no, there is no train station that's supposed to. That maybe there was supposed to be at one point. You remember hearing something about that, but it's they never did that project.
So I'm guessing this is. Do we know about the existence of multiple parallel realities?
It's a thought. It depends on if you've studied it, but I don't know if you've studied it or not. But I mean, the idea isn't a completely foreign one.
So I'm far from being excited because it's definitely not Balthasar's area of expertise, but just that the theory exists.
Yeah.
So Balthasar might think that, as was described as a hole in reality earlier, was in fact a tunnel into an alternate reality.
Maybe.
The same place, but now different.
Yeah.
In now a version of Saturnine that has a train station.
Yeah. I mean, Saturnine has train stations. It's just, this neighborhood doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to. Yeah, and you've had differences from your alternate self before as well. I mean, there are things that are different for them.
This is the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole point of the way this works is that it is a different version that might have different ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
And different ways of looking at things.
Yeah. And as you're all pondering this, the librarian comes from around the corner. At least you think You think it's the librarian. They have, now you're seeing a sort of a grassy field through them. With
So
sort of
from
birds and
windswept
trees.
plain to grassy field.
And they come around. Oh. Hello, were you, are you supposed to be here right now?
Yes.
Okay.
We have booked the overnight slot.
Oh. Okay, sure. That's fine. I wondered if anyone was going to do that. Huh. Well, make yourselves comfortable. Let me know if you need anything. I'm gonna be over at the circulation desk. Just sort of looks over and sort of again, and specifically in Shantana's direction, says, "Thank you for coming to the library." And then something explodes off to the side now. And I think, unless there's anything you specifically need to get done now, that we're going to pull away at this point and conclude this session. The night will pass uneventfully and you'll get some studying done. And this has been our first guest session of Invisible Sun.
Hooray!
Thank you all very much for playing this. I'm very glad we were able to get Ozzy in on this. And your character has done some things that have kind of has kind of affected the knowledge of what's going on. Balthasar continues to be part of the story of this, and you can continue to interact via our. We have kind of a Discord off to the side that we sometimes do things through, so you can continue to as things progress and you have thoughts and things come up. They can always, if need be, pull Balthasar in for those as sort of downtime stuff, and then possibly even as a future appearance, depending on how the plot goes and how things are. But there we are. So we're gonna go ahead and go around and do our outros again. Say where folks can find you and any thoughts about this session, and we shall start with our guest Ozzy.
Yeah, this was fun. I've been looking forward to this for quite a long time, and also the first time actually playing Invisible Sun, despite having the black cube since March this year. No, this was great. It featured Balthasar's forte. I think I can reveal that the companion can be a variety of things. What we picked for Balthasar was a modality, which is a alternate version of the same character that is from a different time or different dimension, and has that version has more or less the same abilities, but might have a different outlook, a different view, or just different way of looking at things. And so I can direct it to look at things, and they then tell me what they see. And so this was the idea of, what do you see when you look at that book?
Yeah, I think that was a very cool. Way to bring that in.
Yeah, and that was great. I thought that worked well. I am Carl on Twitter. You can find out what I'm up to. I am currently in 2 regular weekly games. One is on Tuesday evenings, UK time, at Capricorn Goss's channel, and we are playing Curse of Strahd, where we are very quickly coming to the big finale. We entered Castle Ravenloft last session, and so we're getting there. And on Friday evenings, UK time, on Skageth's channel, we play Masks of Nyarlathotep, the big Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming and playing. This was a lot of fun.
It's been a pleasure.
Balthazar.
It's really good. It was really, really good.
It's very cool. Very cool. And Anino.
How's it going, everybody? My name's Anino. You can find me on Twitter at Anino Gaming. I had a great time today. I wasn't, like most of our adventures, really sure where everything was going, and so I really appreciated an opportunity that had enough flexibility for me to actually push along Mac's story a little bit, as well as get back to that Limerence thing. I really like the development of the interaction between Shah and Mac as well, because when we set off or started this game, we sort of had an adversarial bond, but we hadn't really been able to define it, and I just like the way it's been defined right now.
That was so good.
My rival is crashing on my couch. I make wonderful choices.
Yeah, basically. So.
Oh, that was great. Excellent. Did you get to do your plugs and everything?
Yeah, I'll plug it next week.
All right.
My game is bi-weekly, so it's, just remind people next week.
Righto. Yes. Folks shall go forth and check it out. Doing stuff. Absolutely. Wilde. How's it going?
Oh, yes. Hi, I'm Wilde Engineer. I guess I'll do my plugs first. I guess you can find me starting this Tuesday on Pro Restarter's channel for D&D, where we'll be playing some God's Fall. That should be fun. And not this week, but next week? Yes, next week. Next upcoming week. On Friday will be the finale of the Mask game I am playing. So yeah, that should be great. I had this is a really fun episode, just everyone trying to convince Shaw that it's really not that bad of an idea to possibly destroy her mind, and then also finding out that Shantanu is actually in a constant state of fear secretly.
Yeah, that was very cool. That was very. I liked that interaction with the Lacuna there. That worked. That was really nice. Awesome. And Djinnaya.
Hello, my name is Djinnaya, and you can find me at Djinnaya on Twitter or Twitch or pretty much anywhere. And as far as games, you can find me back here in 2 weeks, and between then you can find me at PAX Unplugged. So so say hi if you see me. I'm taller than you think I am. That's how you'll know which one is me. And also, if you're going to that, you should go to Lauren Bryant Monk's and Kiana Shaw's panel on safety tools on Sunday, because it's going to be awesome.
Excellent. Absolutely. Did you have any thoughts about the session? I forgot.
I really enjoyed the scene with Shantanu and the librarian. I just feel like we so rarely get to see this kind of like next layer down on Shantanu. There's like clearly all this stuff happening, but we as like in the game don't get to see it as much, and that was really great. Yeah. And I'm very excited to talk to Balthazar via the Saturn internet about this house that they are building, because I feel like the idea of the perfect house somehow plays into the missing foreman. So
very well, Mike.
Excellent.
very well might. That would be a thing to look into, definitely. Awesome. Well, folks, that brings it back around to me. And once again, I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. You can find down below links to my website, Twitter, and YouTube channel. On Sundays, we do one-shots. The one-shot tomorrow is going to be Demigods. This is a game that has not actually been released yet, but the quick start is out. It is a game where you're playing descendants of mythological deities, and it is powered by the apocalypse. And I'm very much looking forward to trying that. Levi is going to be back and running that one, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. And let's see, Monday I'm going to be over on Tales from the Grim, running Deadlands. Having a lot of fun with that. We're progressing on the road to desperation, so we'll see what happens when we actually get on the road to desperation and the city of desperation. We'll see how that goes. And Tuesday will be the premiere of our December short campaign. It's only going to be a 3-session mini campaign. It's going to be Fiasco in Trainwreck mode. We're zeroing in on the playsets we're going to be using. And we're getting very close now to figuring it out, and I think it's going to be interesting. 3 linked playsets, so we'll see how things go. And then, of course, back around on Saturdays, we have this, Invisible Sun. I don't know how it's going to be affected by PAX and people going to PAX, so we'll jump off that bridge when we come to it. But this episode was an absolute delight. And I'm looking forward to doing more of it. So hopefully that shall be happening soon. Sign-ups are open right now for Blue Planet Recontact. That's a one-shot that's going to be coming up a week from Sunday. Rock is actually going to be running that for us. And so that is set in the year 2199 on a distant ocean planet where the folks from Earth are there trying desperately to get at its resources, but the planet itself has its own ecosystem that needs to be interacted with, so it seems there's a lot there. So we're going to try that out. I think just mostly the stuff in their quick start for this new edition, the Recontact edition, which also is yet to actually be released, but the quick start is out. So we'll be playing that. Sign-ups are, of course, still open for the Campaign of Masks that's going to be starting up in January. Again, powered by the apocalypse, young superheroes. So if you want to come and play a young superhero, sign-ups are open on that till December 11th. So feel free to dive in on that if you so desire. As always, beginners are welcome. Well, when we go to the end card, I'm going to send a raid over to an Arras, who is currently playing Stardew Valley. Our friend Dylan is doing that, and I, of course, am horribly addicted to Stardew Valley. So even though I don't play it right now, perhaps I will again soon. But I'm addicted to watching people play it. So we're going to go do that. So we're going to go say hi to Dylan. Feel free to hang on and say hi with us if you so desire. That, again, will be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you very much for watching. Take care. And I will see you all of a sudden. Farewell.